All right. So if you're, you should be on. This is your home screen. This is what they call the home screen. If yours still says, if you want to do the get started or get learning or get working, then you would choose work to get here. Okay. But again, this is your home page, and from here, there's right on the front page, you have 4 choices of what you can start doing. Okay, there's part. You can create a new part. You can create a new assembly, a new drawing, and then presentation. So we'll get into these more in detail later, but what we'll be doing is using on the part section, we'll actually be creating our parts. With assembly, what you can do is you can put together parts. On assembly, there's also already tons of parts already made online as far as like structure wise, bolts, nuts, screws, and that you can already use it. So you don't have to create like a bolt if you need or a screw if you need to put something together. They're already there for you. And once you have either your part or assembly done and you need to show it technically, is a drawing. So we'll also learn how to do that in here. And your technical drawing it shows all the picture of the parts that you made in different angles, and it has all the dimensions, measurements of your part. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on part. And I apologize, mine's probably going to be slower than yours. Okay. So quickly, if you look at the screen, it's not exact like AutoCAD. Of course, it's more colorful. So, AutoCAD's real plain. But there still are some similarities, especially like in some of the things. So, like the names of the screen. So here on top, where I'm highlighting, that's still called the ribbon. Okay. Then you still have your work area, your drawing area. You still have a navigational bar over here. So these are exactly the same, ribbon and your navigational bar. Okay. From there's not much else on here. You have your tabs here, so you could switch between your home screen and your parts. Okay. And then but the most important difference is this pane over here to the left. Okay, so you want this open all the time. Okay, and if it closes, I'll help to show you how to open it again. But this section over here is called the browser, and this will show every single step that you guys do. Okay, so every step that you do as far as your sketching and creating, it'll all be shown here in order, And the cool thing about Inventor is that if you need to make a change, you can come back to a certain step and just make the change right there. Like if you need to change the dimension on something, make it a little larger or smaller, without having to erase it or start over, you can go back and switch the dimension on something that you already did 4 or 5 steps back. So this is what's makes it a lot easier. Okay, so I want to go ahead and get started creating something. So what I want you guys to do is we're going to start an Inventor. Even though this is a 3D program, you always start with a 2-dimensional sketch. So if you see in the left-hand corner here, it says Start 2D Sketch. Okay. Now be careful, there is a little drop-down box right here. You don't have to click on this drop-down box because you have 2 different sketches, 3D and 2D. For our class purposes, we're always going to use 2-dimensional. So if you just leave it on 2D and you click on it, you'll get this in your window, okay? And this is where Inventor differs from AutoCAD, okay? We have to think a little different when we're creating things because you guys remember AutoCAD is flat, right? Up and down, left and right. Those we call your axis. Remember that? Like your y-axis goes which way? Up and down, right? Okay. And then the x-axis goes left and right. And then I used to remember some saying. Does anybody have a saying to remember that? I can't remember. I used to have one. Something like your x left is y.
My x left means that I didn't cheer to right and my wife was left and left. That's what Dalton was.
Yeah. So you try to remember your x left, right, left and right, x left, and then y, because your life is up and down or out, something like that, okay? But we got one more. So what you're looking at here, the lines, the dark, well not the dark, the really bright yellow lines in the middle, you can see the y x-axis. Well, we have another one that's called the z-axis. The z is what gives you the depth, the 3D, okay? So now it's not just up and down and left and right, now it's front and back. Okay? And what you're looking at right there is giving you what are called planes. You guys need to remember this word, this is like a key term, okay? It's planes. You have, if you look at it, if you just hover over those planes with your mouse, it'll tell you the names of them, right? So the plane that uses the y-axis and z is called the yz plane. But then you have the xy plane, the xz. So there's different planes, and there's not always a right and wrong way to do any in this thing. Okay, there's many ways to do things, but it always starts off with this, and you have to choose which plane do you want to start sketching. So you got to think of the way you want your item to look when it's done, because it's going to be in 3D. Do you want it going up and down? Does it need to be going from front to back? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of the planes, and I'm just going to start with this flat plane, the horizontal plane. It's called the XZ plane. So I just kind of hover over it, then click on it. Okay. And once you do that, you're actually starting your sketch. So click on that same flat plane, everybody, please. Okay, and if you don't, I'll go back if you missed it. I clicked on my start sketch, and then I'm going to choose this flat plane, okay? So I'm talking about this plane right here. You click on that. As soon as you click on it, you're inside of a sketch, okay? And you'll know you're in a sketch right away, and I'll show you a couple things that will. Right away, it actually made it 2-dimensional. So now we're back to like AutoCAD. It's flat. You can see the screen is different. You have your center point and I suggest you use this all the time, okay? So this is the middle of the axes, right? And right here it's showing you, this is what you're looking at. So the y-axis is right here, this dot. We're looking at the y-axis like if we were like a bird up on top. Okay, and this is the z-axis, and this is our x. Okay. You know you're in a sketch because up here we're in the sketch tab. Up here it says sketch. Okay. It also says right here with a big check mark, finish sketch. So this is how you remember that you're in your sketch. From here, we have, of course, the same like AutoCAD. There's different tools. You'll see a lot are very similar: line, circle, arc, rectangle. Here's fillet, right? We've done that. You've got trim over here. So there's a lot of similarities, okay? We're gonna go ahead and start we're inside our sketch. I want you guys to pick the rectangle. Now, if you look, each one of these items has a drop-down box. So let's just, if I click on the drop-down for rectangle, these are all the different choices we can make under the rectangle menu. The one that it's set at right now, if you look at it, it says rectangle 2-point. Okay, and what's cool about this program is, and I want you guys to do this, is if you click the drop down where it says 2-point, just put your mouse and hover over it, and it'll actually open up and it'll tell you the steps. So it'll tell you right here, it says this creates a rectangle using 2 points from the diagonal corners, and it actually shows you 1 and 2. It says, so you click on number 1, that's the first point where you want your rectangle, and then you specify the second point. Okay, so we're going to use rectangle 2-point, so we'll click on that. And now I'm going to come right here on that y-axis center point, and you'll see that it'll turn, the dot turns green, it snaps on there. Okay, so I'm going to click right on that center point, and then I'll make a rectangle, and you'll see as I pull it out something very similar again to AutoCAD, is that we can choose the sizes, and this is going to be very important in this section, is that we want everything to be precise. It's really, this is all about being accurate and efficient. So the way you do this is, I started the rectangle, but I'm going to choose the sizes. So I'm going to make, and you notice it's in inches. I think yours should be in inches also, but so it doesn't matter. We're going to make an exact, we'll make a, okay, so going on the x-axis, which is up and down in my case right now, I'm going to make this 2 inches. So what I do is I type 2, and then I hit tab. I'm going to hit the tab key on the keyboard. That's the very left side of your keyboard, right towards the middle. It says tab. And by doing that, it locks in the 2, and you'll see that it's locked. And now I can choose the size. I can't go this way anymore. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see. Okay. But now I can choose how large this way goes. So we're going to do 4 inches. So it's going to be 2 by 4. And then I can just hit enter. And now I have a rectangle that's 2 inches by 4 inches. What's cool is that I can immediately make a change if I want to. If some of you guys, as far as moving the screen, zoom is still the same. It's still the roll. But if you click that roll, the scroll on your mouse, if you click it in and hold it, it'll grab your screen and you can pull it down. put your mouse and hover over the cube, right by the cube on top of it, you'll see a little like house up here. So if you just hover over the cube with your mouse, you'll see the little house up here. Click on the house, and it'll center your drawing right there for you. It'll fit it in the screen. Okay? That cube up there is the only way to rotate your screen. You can just click on the different sides of the cube, or you can click and drag the cube around, but unfortunately that's the only way. The only other way is if everybody had a $250 mouse that's made for this program. But you don't have that. Is everybody doing okay so far? Not hard, right? We've got our rectangle complete. Now, here's the important thing, guys. As we start creating things in class, you have to really plan your design out. Okay? Because we have to do things one step at a time. You cannot, if you have a very intricate part you want to create, no matter how good you are at drawing, and some of you got pretty good at drawing in AutoCAD, your sketches, you can't draw your whole part out and then make it 3D. It just doesn't work that way. You have to do it a piece at a time. And we'll get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. But at this point, you should have this on your screen. We have our sketch completed, and we can see that in our browser. Now it says Sketch 1 over here. Okay? Now, we're going to leave it as Sketch 1, but you can come in here and change the name of all your sketches if you want. So you know what part of your design goes with Sketch 1. But to make anything three-dimensional, you always have to have at least one sketch completed. You always have to use a sketch. Okay, so now that we do have a sketch, let's make this three-dimensional. So you should already have it on top. It should already be set where it says 3D model up here in your tab. As soon as you hit that check mark, it should go right to this. And where it says extrude, we're going to click on extrude. And extrude is what pulls your drawing up and makes it look 3D. So we click on extrude, okay, you'll see that you usually have a little box open with some choices, and then you also have a quick menu. So you'll see there's a box here with a lot of choices, and then we have a quick menu right here. Okay, and you can use either one, but for right now let's use the box. So we have a couple choices here. You see it says profile. This means what do you want to extrude. Now our sketch is so simple, it's one rectangle that it already knows what we're going to extrude. But if we had a drawing that had multiple pieces to it, we would have to pick the pieces that we wanted to extrude. Okay, and then here we have a menu where it says distance, extents. Okay, and we also can pick the direction we want it to go. And that's the same thing here. Here we can pick the direction. This is where we would pick extents. And what extents means is if I click on it, I can choose, I can tell it what the distance is. So that's why it's set on distance. Okay. Or if we already had other pieces to our drawing, I could tell it I want it to extrude all the way until it hits another piece. Okay, but for today we're going to leave it on distance, and it's already at 1 inch. But let's go ahead and make this 1.5. So right here I can type in 1.5, or in the box I can type in 1.5. Okay. And if you notice here, our direction is just, it's set on the first direction. Direction 1, which is coming up we could go direction 2. So if I switch on that, you'll see that it goes down. Or we can do symmetric. And what symmetric will do is it's going to take this 1.5 inches and go both ways. So it cuts it in half, basically. So if I do that one, you'll see it's still 1.5 inches tall, but it put half of it up and half of it down. Okay. We're going to just use, for right now, let's use direction 1 and hit OK. And now we have simple, but our very first 3D drawing. Okay. So from here now, if we need to, as we continue drawing, we're going to have to pick either a plane or one of the sides or faces of our drawing. Okay. So this is what I mean. What we're going to do is we're going to start another sketch. So if we go up here and hit the sketch, you'll see that now when I click on sketch, it's not going to bring up those planes again like it did at the beginning. But now what we're going to do is if I hover my mouse, you'll see that I can select any of the sides of my rectangle. And what I'm going to do is select the top. So on the top, I'm going to select it, and you'll see that we're back in a sketch, and now it's flat again. It went back to 2-dimensional. So now I'm looking at the top of the rectangle, and what we're going to do now is we're going to start a sketch, and we're going to choose a circle tool. Okay. And if we do the drop down on the circle tool, you'll see we have a couple choices. The first one says circle center point. So this is easy. You pick the center point, okay? And then you just tell it how large you want the circle. And we use radius, okay? So we remember our radius. Radius is half the size of the circle, okay? So if you want a 3-inch circle, what are you going to type in for your radius? Let's ask somebody. How about Adriana? Yeah. It's just half, okay? So let's pick circle center point. Okay. And I mean, we can make the circle wherever we want. So I'm just going to pick, let's pick the top corner. So click on that, and we'll drag this out, and let's do a 3-inch circle. So we'll type 3, hit enter. And then we're going to finish our sketch. So now we're back here. And if you notice, we sketched on top of the rectangle. So as I move my shape around, you'll see that the sketch is up here on top. So you got to be careful when you start drawing where you pick to draw. Okay. So we've got our circle. We're going to now extrude the circle. So when I click on it, you'll see that extruded, and we're going to extrude it only, let's do 0.5. So it's a lot thinner, 0.5 of an inch, and we'll hit enter. Okay. And this actually connected it to our other piece, so it's solid connected. So I'm going to go ahead, I want to do one more sketch and then I'll walk around and see where we're at. But once you've done this circle, create a new sketch on top, just like the other one was. We're going to click the top again. We're going to do a 3-inch circle again here on the bottom corner. And then I finish my sketch. So I have another 3-inch, but this time I'm going to try something different. I want to extrude this, of course, and you'll see that it tries to remember kind of what you've done in case you want to copy. So you had already set it up at 0.5, making it similar like this one, but I'm going to choose direction 2. So if you notice here, I'm going to pick direction 2. Okay, and then you notice it changed the color and it looks a little different. And what it's doing is, oops, it actually switched. If you notice, there's these choices right here. Okay, and you can choose them also right here. But if I look at what it's doing, it picked the second one and it says cut. The first one says join. So this first circle got joined together with our rectangle. The second one says cut. So by cutting, when I hit OK, look at what I did to my rectangle. So I used the circle, and by changing the direction or choosing cut, I cut a piece off of my rectangle. So this is actually, I mean, there's some more tools we're going to learn, but this is really all it is. It's just learning how to build what you want using the shapes and sketches. What I want to do real quick is show you how, and you can see in my browser we have 3 extrusions. Okay, and you notice that it doesn't say sketch over here anymore. If I click where it says extrusion, all the way to the left side you see these little plus signs. And if you click on the plus sign, you can see everything that's part of that extrusion. So there's the sketch I made for that extrusion. If I go to the second one and just hover over it, it kind of shows me the sketch, what I did for that circle. Once you extrude a sketch, that sketch is done. And that's why I'm saying I've seen students sit there and take forever drawing this elaborate sketch out, and then they only extrude a couple pieces of it, and that's it. They can't use that sketch no more. And that's why I'm going to keep stressing to you guys, it's going to be piece by piece. You try not to overdraw on your sketches. So what I want to show you is we can go back. I want to go back. I think this circle is too big now that I look at it. And so without having to erase anything or start over or hit the undo button a bunch of times, all I'm going to do is I hit the little right here, the plus sign. So I opened up extrusion 2. And now where it says sketch 2, right next to it, there's a little square picture. Okay, just like these have these pictures. If you double click on that picture next to sketch 2, if you double click on it, it actually would take you back in that sketch. So now it looks like we erased this cut, but we really didn't. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the 3 so I can change that dimension, and I'm going to make it 1.5. So it's a half of that size. It's a lot smaller circle now. And now when I hit finish sketch, you'll see that my other work you'll see my other work wasn't deleted. Now, there will be times it won't let you do that. Like if you've done a lot of manipulating to your shapes, it might not want to let you do that. But for the most part, you can go back still and make changes like that. Okay, so we got a little bit of time. We're gonna do one more thing. We're gonna make one more circle on top here. So we're gonna sketch. So I click up on top on Start Sketch. Click the top of my rectangle again. Okay. But this time, before I choose circle, I want to do something. I'm going to get the line tool. And from this corner point here, I'm going to start a line, and I'm going to bring it down 1 inch. So I'm going to type 1 inch, hit enter. Okay, and then I'm going to make a line perfectly straight. So if you could notice, the angle says 90 degrees. Then I'm going to do 1 inch again, and then hit enter. And then at this point, I'm going to hit escape. Okay. Why I did this is because I want to make a circle, but I want this circle to be exactly 1 inch down and 1 inch over from the edges. So this is how I would use lines to help me get to the exact point that I need. So now when I choose my circle, I can actually click on this point at the end of the line. Okay, and I'm going to make a 2 inch circle. Okay, now here's an important thing. It's really helpful is once you have the drawing that you want, you should try to delete any of the lines that you don't need in that sketch anymore. So hit escape to get out of the circle tool, and then so I don't need this line anymore, so I'm just going to click on it and delete it. This one also. Now if you notice on my screen, the circle turned green. It was purple, and now it's like a lime green color. I don't know if you can see that on yours or not. But why it did that is because it's not perfectly somewhere on an edge or something that it knows the relationship to lines. So it doesn't know exactly where that measurement is, but it's still fine like that. So we're going to finish the sketch there, and we can extrude it. This time we'll let's extrude this direction 1 is fine, and let's make this one 2 inches, so this will be a lot bigger extrusion. Okay. So what this shape is, I mean, I don't know, but this could be something like if you could go into this as a career. I mean, making parts, making anything that can be manufactured, it all gets designed on a computer, guys, now. Even the jewelry Grows wear was done on a computer.